right, you guys ready to move on to Three Body Problem? All right, so this is a TV show on Netflix based off of a book series. I'm going to boom bitch it real quick. There we go. It's a TV show on Netflix based off of a book series. They're going to probably do multiple seasons because there's, how many books are there? Three books? Okay, so yeah, we're going to get...
They said they're going to do 4 seasons.
4 seasons for 3 books? Yeah. That makes sense.
It's D&D. They need one of their own.
I would... Yeah, that's
You think
true.
it's going to get renewed?
Probably. It seems pretty... Is it popular? I don't know. I haven't checked.
Pretty popular.
What's it ranking?
It's doing well on the social medias.
You know what I really want to know is where Warrior is on Netflix. I mean, it's still ranking up there.
I haven't seen it in the top 10 in a while. I don't think they're doing that great. But.
So we got recently added Three Body Problem currently sits at number 1 on Netflix.
Yeah. And for those of you out there in the chat, we're going to be going over the first 5 episodes, non-spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
And then next week, we're going to cover the rest of the season.
Did you notice that, speaking of Warrior, Father June is in?
I did. I was looking at him and I was like, I think that's Father June.
Yeah.
He's in the first episode for the first, 10 minutes or so?
Perry Chan?
Yeah, Perry Chan.
Perry Young.
What is it?
Perry Young.
Young?
Yeah.
Cool guy. I talked to him on Instagram a handful of times. I didn't know he was in this show, and I was like, that's freaking Father June from Warrior. And then I was super disappointed because they freaking Ned Starked him like right away. And I was like, oh.
It's like the whole point of the book, though.
Yeah. But that, I will say, when this show goes like hard, it goes hard. That opening scene was disturbing on multiple levels, especially with current political things that are happening in the world that we're living in right now. I'm like watching this. I'm like, man, we are so close to this shit. Like,
so how we normally do shows is Kadish gives us the rundown. Are you doing that for this?
Nope.
No.
First 5 episodes?
We're just
riffing.
We're just kids running around in the streets wild.
No
and free.
rules.
J-Lo with her hair down.
That's too chaotic. I don't think I can do it.
If I were to do that for these 5 episodes, we'd be here for.
Yeah, it'd be a whole another hour show just to do that. Kadish, you're the best at explaining things. Do you want to do the basic plot of how this show...
I think you need to.
Okay.
Yeah, you're better at that than I am.
So basically, the 3 Body Problem is about an alien invasion of Earth.
Okay.
And it's basically this very advanced superior race is coming to Earth. And it's not only about how humanity reacts to this news, but it's about a group of characters who are trying to figure out, okay, how can we stop this from happening? And it's based off of a series of books from a Chinese science fiction author. And these books are very hard sci-fi. Like, I did not like the books. I don't think they're very good. They're very light on characterization, very big on like big ideas, stuff like that. And I'm not a big fan of Benioff and Weiss, the guys who produced the Game of Thrones stuff. So going into this, I had very low expectations. I was like, I didn't like the source material. I don't like the guys making this series. But I was very pleasantly surprised because like I got super into the show. I thought the show itself was like really, really good. It was engaging. And they brought forth some elements from the next 2 books. They brought it up into the first season. And I feel like it worked really well. I feel like this is a very good adaptation because they changed a lot of the stuff I didn't like about the books and they made it better. And by the end of the series, I was hooked. I was like, I want to see more seasons of this. So long story short, it's about an alien invasion and how humanity is going to be dealing with this particular type of invasion. And the aliens are very, very superior. Like they're almost omniscient, you know, everything that's going on. And so like the deck is stacked against humanity for it.
I had a real big problem with that, by the way.
But also there's a group of people who worship this alien race.
Right.
Who want to expedite the process of them coming here and taking over.
Because they lost faith in humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the aliens are traveling 1% of light speed from their home planet, which is like 4%.
They're
400 years.
Yeah.
Well, they're
it's 1% of light speed.
4 light years away, and it's going to take them 450 years to get to Earth. So humanity has a lot of time to deal with this, but in a way, like that can be a bad thing as well.
Yeah. The show starts off in 1950 something.
It's like during the Cultural Revolution of China, which is in the 60s.
Yeah.
And it kind of flashes back and forth between like what happened then for a particular character who's very important in the overall story. And then like it goes into like this mystery because there are all these like scientists, like very well-known scientists who are killing themselves
In present day.
In present day for very unknown reasons. And so like there's this little mystery is like, why are all these scientists committing suicide in sometimes very gruesome ways? And then that leads into a weird little video game that the main characters of the show called the Oxford Five, who are a group of friends who all went to Oxford together, eventually like stumble upon, and the mystery starts to unravel until like there's like this big reveal, which happens in episode 5, which is when they find out that aliens are invading, essentially. But throughout the course of the first 5 episodes, I felt like it was a very engaging story. Like I was really hooked.
I like how it flashes back and forth between like how this got started, and now that we're dealing with sort of like the repercussions of this happening and them on their way, and how they need to prepare to come to their new home, what all they needed to like happen for that. So we're flashing back and forth between like 1970 something, 1980 something, and present day.
I was way more engaged with the flashback scenes in this show than I
Same.
was with the present day stuff. I was actually getting a little annoyed with the present day stuff because I was like, they were adding a lot to the first half of this season. There was just so much being thrown at you, and I was genuinely worried for a while that this was like a lost situation where they were just throwing all these questions your way.
You said that,
and they were like, here's questions for like 4 episodes. And I'm like, are you going to answer any of this shit? Like, I have no patience for this stuff. I'm like, if you're going to set something up, I need to start realizing some answers very soon, which by episode 5, they start to do that, which I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, the first 5 episodes are nothing but setup.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a 5-hour setup.
It's a 5-hour setup of you learning who and what drives these characters that are in this show. And you kind of need it. I think, but I mean, they probably went a little
heavy
on some of this stuff. But I mean, I'll be honest with you. I've watched the entire series. I'm done.
Okay.
I've watched through 8.
We all have, except for
I'm the only. I guess apparently I'm lagging behind.
But if you guys know me, I don't binge.
Yeah, that's
TV.
true.
But I watched this thing in a week, and it's because there's something about this show that kind of hooked me, you know. But I keep on thinking back about it, and I think, to me, this series, it peaked at episode 5, at least for this season, to me, because everything builds up to episode 5, and then you find out what happens, what goes on afterwards. But I can't tell you what happens on episode 5 because it's really fucking cool.
I don't know how to talk about this without talking without actually spoiling
it's hard to not spoil the show, but leading up to the end of episode 5, it's all character setup. These characters are all worth knowing. They're all important. They all have their role.
Unlike Frozen Empire, am I right?
Empire, yes, for sure. But at least they took the time to explain what drives these people and what they do and why they're important. And I appreciated that. And
so the point of us talking about this without spoiling it, is people who haven't invested their time yet, is us saying like, look, get to it. Because episode 5 pays everything off, and then the rest of the season is kind of like preparing you for the next chapter.
Yeah.
So the real question is, when people are watching this review, is it worth my time getting invested into the show? That's kind of the answer we need to present. I would, as of right now, seeing episode 5, I watched episode 5 this morning on this TV right here. It's worth the investment. I was very intrigued. There's a lot of scenes in this show that are like, whoa. A lot of political maneuvering, especially from the Communist China Party in the 70s and 60s, that you're like, God, man, it was almost like a bunch of warning signs. Like,
and lots of science. If you're a science nerd,
our resident science nerd, Dr. Target, has poked holes in everything that they're doing.
God, I love
everything. He sent me, literally, look at this paragraph that he sent me. This is Dr. Target's text message about all the bullshit in this TV show that he's like, none of this is right. And I'm like, that's good on you, man.
Lost spirits.
Good on you, man, for sure. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of funny because the books are known for being like very like hard science, like all the science in
but it's Chinese science, right?
all the science in the book can technically be like real. And even when Dr. Target was here before, when we were talking about like, is 3-body problem going to suck? You know, he had some type of praise for the books, I think. For instance, like the title of the series, 3-body problem, it comes from a tri-star system, where basically like you have 3 suns, and the question is like, can you predict how the 3 suns are going to react to have like a stable planet, in a trinary system essentially. And the 3-body problem is because you have like all these fluctuations and masses at different times from like the 3 bodies in the system, it's impossible to predict how they're going to react to each other and predict their orbits. And in the show, there's like a very interesting thing where there's like a video game that you see in the trailers and stuff like that, where they put on these headsets and they're immersed into this like this virtual reality where they're presented with like a game that they have to find objectives to. And it all has to do with like this concept of the 3-body problem.
It's very peripheral.
With the video game stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see it. I like the peripheral better than I like this show. But yeah,
Okay.
I can see what you're saying. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Kadish.
Oh, I was done.
Oh, that was it? Okay.
Oh.
I'm trying to figure out how to answer a comment in the chat. Tyler, I see you. I don't know what you're talking about, which is why I'm taking so long to answer.
Oh, what was the question?
Something about the milligram experiment, and I'm not 100% sure what that is. I'm looking it up right now, but
Okay.
I can't answer you right now, but I'll see if I can get to it before the end of the show. The major thing that I had an issue with that kind of breaks the show for me, and I'm trying to get over this because it is sci-fi. It's not necessarily hard science, as Dr. Target pointed out extensively in his notes, is that the problem, I don't know if we can, this is like kind of spoilery, but it has a crucial part of the whole.
If you don't want to know anything, mute
just
it.
Mute for like 3 minutes and I'll go like this when I'm done. So the reason why the aliens are leaving their system, their 3-star system, is because it's chaotic and they can't survive.
Their planet is chaos.
So they have to come to ours in order to survive. But
because we're stable.
But yeah, because we have a stable environment. And they kind of address this in episode 5, and I'm wondering if they follow up with it later on in the season. Don't tell me yet, but they're like, my problem with that is there's no possible way that this civilization that's on this poor planet that's getting bounced around between 3 stars and it cannot survive for very long is going to build a planet, interstellar star fleet of ships to take the majority of its civilization from one place to another.
They never.
You can't do that.
So far advanced that it doesn't take them as long to do stuff as it does us.
I don't like. You can't build a society and then have the resources to get ships into the air and fly across interstellar space if you can't survive more than a couple thousand years because your star's bouncing all over the place. That's the thing that breaks the whole thing for me. But I can look past it in order to just enjoy the show. It's just like one of those things that I was like, this doesn't. I don't know about
the idea here is that the Shang-Ti is that what they're called?
Santi.
Santi. So the Santi, the alien race, in the unstable star system, what they do is their civilization kind of goes into hibernation, and there's only a few people who are kind of like awake and overseeing the population during chaotic ages. And then once it goes to a stable age, the entire population wakes up. And the idea here is that they've been around much longer than humanity.
Yeah, they basically go into like cryo freezing.
Yeah, but they've been around much longer than humanity, and so that's one of the reasons why they're so far advanced than us. And basically, like, they realize that their growth and their prosperity and their civilization has been stunted by the fact that they have to keep going into hibernation for these chaotic ages, and so they need to basically, find someplace a lot more stable. I agree with you, Alex. That was one of my big problems in the books. Is that okay? Like, let's just say that the alien race has been around much longer than us. It's like, how do they find the time to create this fleet of ships and create these sophons and a bunch of other like very technically advanced stuff, if like they have to wait for like a stable age, which could be thousands of years, in order to do it.
And according to the game that they're playing, they were kind of stuck in this like feudal era, like medieval time.
No, they weren't stuck in that. That was basically just, They took the heritage of the person who was putting on the headset,
right? Yeah,
and basically they did it so that it would be something that was familiar to them,
so that they would sympathize.
Yeah. So like if you were from England, the heritage was like
Tudor,
the Tudor dynasty or like whatever, and so like it wasn't that the alien race was in that type of like environment. It was that they wanted something that they could relate to.
Right. And they couldn't figure it. But here's the other thing too, is like they couldn't figure it out themselves. So they're tricking us to figure it out for them? Is that the point? Like, what? I have so many questions, and I really hope they answer them.
No, the headsets were a recruitment tool by the people who wanted to welcome the aliens.
Yeah.
Because they're scientists.
The aliens or the people that they're recruiting?
The people that they were recruiting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're trying to get the smartest brains on the planet to like side with them.
You can signal if we're done spoiling.
Yeah. Like the whole headset.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry, I forgot.
The whole headset VR game wasn't meant to do anything other than make the players sympathize with the aliens and then put them through enough tests to make sure that they were ready to be recruited into the pro-alien faction that is preparing the Earth to welcome them, essentially.
I don't like it.
Made perfect sense to me.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, if you're satisfied, that's all that matters.
Yeah,
This guy's hard to please.
Anyway, I've been tentatively enjoying this movie or TV show. I'm glad that I've been watching it. I usually don't get invested in shows easily. They have to like really get you hooked in. Shows like Warrior will get you hooked in really quickly, and those are like just straight like serial. Every episode has something happening. This is a bit slow. So if you're not into slow sci-fi,
this isn't like an exciting
show. No,
there are
plotting.
episodes that shit happens and you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
But this isn't, as a whole, it's not like a
So
show
it's a slow
that you
burn.
watch that's like exciting or like.
I mean, they were smart in the fact that at the end of pretty much every episode, there's something that makes you want to keep watching.
Yeah.
At the end of episode 3, there's something that happens that you're just like, oh shit. And then at the end of episode 5, I think I texted everyone. I was like, episode 5, holy shit. And so like there are major things that happen in the story in every episode that keep you engaged. And I was engaged up until the very end of the series. So
you guys all finished it. So I'm sitting over here just blind on 3 episodes.
Yep.
That makes me a little upset.
We told you we were finishing.
I tried. I was down to the wire watching the 5th episode in here, like right before we started.
What did you think of the 5th episode? Because I feel like episode 5. If people can make it to episode 5,
it's the peak.
They'll know whether or not they're invested in the show.
Well, I mean, I was sitting right next to you. I was freaking out. I was like, "Yo," because they went dark. It got real dark real quick.
They didn't hold back.
No. There's a little pink shoe in there, and I was like, "Whoa!" God damn, they had a ballsy move. I'm enjoying it. I forgot that D&D were the Benioff and Weiss were the ones who were like producing the show. So I was sitting there.
You know, what's even worse is Ryan Johnson executive produces the show.
Why did you guys make me watch this?
I didn't find out about that till today.
God damn! Now I don't want to finish it.
I know, right?
Ugh. I don't want to give that guy any money. When I was watching this movie, I'm like, why is all the freaking cast from Game of Thrones in this movie? Because like, what's his face shows up as a random character. Varys shows up as a random character throughout the show, and I'm like, what is he do?
What, Varys?
Yeah, he's the Pope.
Really?
Yeah. He had a beard and wig, so you might not recognize him.
Weird.
But that was Varys. And I was like, why are all these Game of Thrones people showing up in this movie? Now it makes so much more sense. Yeah.
Onion Knight.
Yeah. They're all the old school Game of Thrones characters. I wouldn't be surprised if Kit Harington pops up at one point.
Dude, Liam Cunningham fucking kills it.
Oh, yeah, he's great. Yeah. Him as like a snarky, like government official dude with a suit, it works for him. I've seen him in a few movies that he does that, and I'm like, that's a good job for you. You need to like really lean into that.
I also really liked Benedict Wong.
Yeah, he's my favorite.
We were
character.
talking about him today. He's like, he's not acting. He's just snacking on stuff and just being a douchebag. It's like it works for him.
Smoking cigarettes, having snacks.
Yeah. He's living his life right now. He's loving his role. He's like, oh, I get to sit in a car and just like eat snacks and make funny jokes.
It's kind of weird because the only thing I really can picture him as is Wong in the Marvel movies. You know, as the wizard guy.
Yeah.
So that's my.
Have you ever watched the Marco Polo show on Netflix? So he plays Genghis Khan in that.
Oh, he's probably pretty good.
Yeah, no, he's badass in that show.
So overall, you guys already seen the whole thing. Would you recommend people watch the whole season?
Yeah, I think it's worth a watch. I'm not as crazy about it as Kadish is. He like every freaking episode, he's like, so what'd you think of that? I'm like, I don't know. I'm gonna just keep watching it. It's cool.
I mean, this I get why he likes it.
Yeah.
And I really don't understand why I do. Because this is not.
It's not your type.
My type of show. There's something I'm finding intriguing about it. And I don't really know exactly what it is, but it's enough to I mean, I watched 3 episodes yesterday in the afternoon. pushed one. I just watch an episode. Next thing I knew, it was 3 hours later, and I was done with it. It's like, okay, well, guess it's time for dinner. But yeah, it's definitely worth watching if you haven't started this thing yet. It's new, it's different. It's a highbrow sci-fi. Some really high concepts in this thing. It's there was some people that were like worried. It's like, oh, it's by some Chinese communist author. This is not.
they do not paint China in a pretty light.
This is not communist propaganda.
No.
It is not.
In the show, when communist China is in the limelight, they are not
asshole.
They're not
Chinese
good.
Asshole.
They are not painted in a good light.
I want to be able to talk about this with spoilers because I have specific things that I want to say about specific characters that I just don't think it would be fair to.
Are we going to spoil it next week when we do the full season?
I want to. I want to do like a full wrap.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe
we might. It depends. I don't know. It's
like
I
want
said.
to be like, fuck this character and here's why.
Yeah.
Fuck her because here's why.
I mean,
this person's fucking crazy and here's why.
It's sitting at number 1 on Netflix. So by next week, I'm sure most people will have watched.
So next week, spoilers.
Yeah, next week's gonna be spoilers.
You guys are be ready, be prepared now.
We'll bring the clacker.
Spoiler.
But I came into this with such low expectations.
Yeah.
Like I was expecting not to like it at all.
I had none.
I honestly was confused why we were watching it. I was like, why this of all the shows that are out there, why this?
But like I'm such a sucker for anything sci-fi, and it's been a while since we got like a really good original science fiction type show. Star Wars has let us down. Star Trek has let us down.
Invasion.
Yeah, well, talk about like comparing apples to apples with like an alien invasion story. Like this alien invasion story is actually like really gripping and interesting, whereas Apple TV's invasion is just like, oh my god, it's so bad.
Well, what's funny though is, and this might be a spoiler, but we're 8 episodes in, we haven't seen an actual alien yet. Okay, and I'm sorry if that's spoiling, but at least an invasion where we're saying where's the aliens in our alien invasion movie. At least we got the Slimers and the wall crawlers and shit. In this one, we get virtual reality.
Don't you fucking defend invasion?
Yeah, are you defending invasion right now?
Yeah,
it's just weird.
Yeah,
you cannot not like Frozen Empire and then start complimenting invasion. Not in one day. This is not that day.
These things are weird.
Yeah, dude, that thing is actually messed up.
Go home.
Never add wine and Coca-Cola together. You start saying some weird shit.
Have some bread. Fill up your belly.
No, it's all very interesting. I want to say that The Peripheral was such a freaking great show. I was so disappointed that they canceled it and they're not doing season 2 because that show was freaking awesome.
What show?
Peripheral.
I want to rewatch it because I felt like I was too dumb to watch it, like with episode by episode.
It's highbrow sci-fi, but it's really cool.
I need to binge it.
Yeah,
in fact, I'm going to put it on my list.
It's such a cool show, and I'm so disappointed that they canceled it because I hope somebody else picks it up at some point because it's well worth a watch. If it's on Amazon Prime. Unfortunately, it's not going to go anywhere as far as we know right now. But if you want to watch just a solid season of sci-fi, Peripheral is freaking dope. Hey, folks, if you like this video, be sure to watch this one next. And if you want to see the full episode of this podcast, click right here.